Hey there everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mike and this is Open Mic Workshop. In my previous video, I stated that the DAW was the second most important piece of gear in your recording studio. The most important piece of gear is still your laptop or PC, something that's going to house the DAW, where it's going to sit. Again, all I can recommend is that you have a high level of RAM and a large amount of available storage. The laptop I use only came with 500 gigabytes of internal memory, so I got an external terabyte drive, which helps tremendously. And the internal RAM I use is 64 gigabytes, which just seems to be plenty. So about the DAW, you're probably wondering, Mike, which DAW should I use? Well, let me tell you about the one I chose. And here's a spoiler, it's completely free. Today I'm going to give you a high-level overview of the DAW that I chose, which is Cakewalk Sonar, previously by BandLab. And before you click away thinking free equals cheap, that's not the case at all. This was a professional DAW that went for $500 or more when it was available for purchase. And it went free in 2018. Let me show you why a sarcastic Gen Xer like me picked this over all of the other DAWs out there. First of all, it's free. It used to be called Sonar, which again was a legitimate high-level DAW that cost hundreds of dollars. There's no mandatory subscription. It's just free. There is a paid option, and you can get some additional features, but I haven't found any of those necessary to this point. I think this is perfect for someone who's dipping their toes into home recording without having to drop $600 up to $1,000 on any DAW. The next reason for me is that it's Windows native. I'm a PC guy, and this runs smoothly on Windows. It was built for Windows, it works fine on Windows, there's no compatibility issues whatsoever. If you're on a Mac, unfortunately, this isn't going to be very helpful for you. You might want to try something like GarageBand. Or if you have a Windows emulator, you could download Cakewalk and use it within the emulator. Another reason I like Cakewalk is this piano roll view that I'll show you. It's got a lot of features, a lot of capabilities. It really helps a lot with drums, keyboards, and any other MIDI devices. The next reason I like Cakewalk, there's unlimited tracks and takes within a track. So you want to do 47 guitar takes on a complicated solo? Great. You can take the pieces of each take that are the best, and you can actually sew them together to make a great sounding solo. You don't have to do it all perfect at once. It's a little bit like cheating, but it works. It's not going to help if you go out and play live, obviously, but if you're recording from home, it's perfect. Alright, since I'm honest here on this channel, there are some downsides. The learning curve for this software, it's real. It's not as user-friendly as something like GarageBand. Also, there's fewer YouTube tutorials out there compared to some of the other DAWs, which means you're going to have to be good at figuring things out on your own sometimes, which I'm okay with, but it's a personal choice. And also, the interface itself looks very Windows. That doesn't bother me. Like I said, I'm a Windows guy. Gen Xer seems perfectly normal to me. All right, let me go ahead and show you the actual DAW and how we use it to record rock songs. After successfully downloading, installing, and opening Cakewalk, this is the first menu option that will display. I always recommend starting with 4-track just to get things going, but if you know it's going to be a very complicated song, you can pick a 16-track. I mean, I've done songs in the beginning with simply 1 track, but I just select 4-track just to make it easy. All right, this is where you'll spend most of your time, honestly. This is the track view. Now, each horizontal strip here, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, as you can see, is a different track. You could have vocals, guitar, bass, drums, whatever you're going to record. Now, if you want to see a different view, you can go up to here and view and select console view. And this is what you may be familiar with. If you've ever seen an actual mixing board, a physical one, this is what it would look like. All the different tracks, and you have your ability to pan left and right. You have the ability to adjust the volume up or down. And you can see the different effects that are applied, if they are. Um, so you can do quite a bit here. You can change the gain. You can do whatever you want here on the console view. But I typically stay with the track view until the end. Here in the console view, I use this to blend all the sounds at the end to make sure the levels are correct. Let's go back to track view. So there's track view, which is standard. There's console view if you want to see all the individual volumes that you can modify and various settings. You can also insert an instrument. So let's just insert one of our MIDI instruments. So an instrument that comes with the package. So I'm going to go ahead and select, I don't know, let's just pick General MIDI, the Cakewalk TTS. That's pretty effective. I've used it in several songs. So I'm going to go ahead and select that one and create it. So I just created a new track. And this track is an instrument, and this instrument is MIDI. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the instrument. And here's where you can change the settings for this particular instrument. Now, they're all going to be different. Bass, drums, they're all going to look different. They're all going to feel different. You just have to learn how each one works. For this one, let's just set it to piano. That's just perfectly fine. What I can do here, if I wanted, is instead of viewing like this, I can't really do much if I don't have an external piano. Let's say you don't have an external keyboard. I'm going to go ahead and instead of the standard view, I'm going to right click, view, and piano roll view. Now, if you're a keyboard shortcut whiz, Alt 3 will work. But I use view piano roll view. All right, and now this comes up with a piano roll. And if you notice, here's a keyboard. So if I enter a note here, you heard that. So basically, every little notch here is a note. And you can enter different notes, whatever they might be. Now I'm just entering random notes. This isn't a song. It's just random notes. And then if I go ahead back to the beginning and I hit the play button, it's just going to play everything that I've selected. At this point is everything. And it'll be the three notes. Sounds awful. But it's just how you can add notes in here. And right now it's set to quarter notes, if you notice. You can set it to longer, whole notes. So if we do a whole note, for example, I'll just delete these. Just select and delete. Delete. Now I'll change it to a whole note, for example, and I'll add that. You need to see how long that is. And it's seriously going to be one note. But it holds it for a bit. So that's the piano roll view. It's very, very effective and important and necessary for drums, for percussion. Anywho, and you can just hide anytime you have a piano roll view or console view even, you can just find this divider in the middle and drag it all the way down, and you can go back to your tracks. So here we're in the tracks. And in this video, I'm not really going to start from scratch. I want to open one that's already mid-process so you can see where you'll eventually get. So let me open Twilight Zone, one of our more recent songs. All right. Now I haven't done it yet. This is really new. We've even though it looks like we've been working on it for quite some time, I think this was all done in a matter of one night. So we added all these tracks, maybe 2 nights. But basically, these are various tracks of different instruments. I can tell by looking at it that this is a MIDI instrument, and yes, it's our drum track. So for this drum, unfortunately, I have to hit the start. So all of these plugins that you can add into Cakewalk, plugins for drums, plugins for keyboards, plugins for bass, plugins for whatever you need will be its own application. And for this one, it's just drums. I'm using something called MT Power Drum Kit 2, which I happen to like. So that's what it looks like. Now, if I go back to the beginning, I'm going to go ahead and press the space bar or play, and it's going to play. And you'll start to hear some drums and some guitar. All right. Anyway, I don't want to play the whole song, but that's really what we have going on here. And these drums were a loop. So what you're able to do with this plugin, let me get to the end because I don't want to ruin the song, is you can build or use these pre-installed grooves. So here, for example, you can just do nice and simple. All right, I like that one. So I'll just drag it and bring it into what's called a composer. And I can bring it multiple times. So it's basically using this rhythm over and over and over again, that basic rhythm that you heard. And I can bring it down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know, I'll just do 8. I bring it down 8 times. All right, and now that I've added these in here, I just select one of them. It's really selecting all of them. And you drag and drop it into your track. And now if I just hit play, I'll hear those same drums just looped 8 times. I'm not going to make you listen to it 8 times, but it's pretty boring and monotonous. That's where you want to go in and add your own flair. But let's say I like this little section or whatever it might be, and I just want to repeat it. I don't want to have to keep entering that over and over again. You can use something called groove clip looping. So if you right click on a section of song or whatever that you like, you can click on this groove clip looping, and that will allow you to take whatever section it is and loop it. So I'm going to go ahead and let me try that again. Groove clip looping. I'll select the end and I'll just oops, let me try that again. Select the end and now I'll just drag. And you can see how it's got a little dotted line. That indicates to me that it's just repeating the previous one. So I can keep going and eventually I'll see another dotted line as we get there. Right there. So now I've just looped that entire section. So now it's there twice. So that's how I lay down the drums. Basically, I find a rhythm and a beat that's similar to the song just to be able to record the other tracks. So from here, I have my, my basic drum rhythm. It just sounds like this. Very basic. But there it is anyway. And I can use that to record my rhythm guitar. So personally, I prefer to have some sort of drums to play guitar with. Some people just use the metronome. Some people don't use anything. They just tap their foot, and they're amazingly great at timing and rhythm. I need some guardrails, if you will, so that's why I use an actual drum beat. So here's how to modify the drums. If you want to add a little flair, a little fun, you right-click and you go to View again, and I'm going to go to Piano Roll View. So now we're back here in the piano roll, and this is showing me the notes of the drum. So I can watch them again here play. So, this one represents a snare, I believe. Nope, it's the hi-hat. That's the snare. That's your bass drum. So you can add whatever you want. Let's say you want to add another hi-hat in here in between. I'm just clicking in between. And now you hear the difference. Hello. With these additional notes. So let me go back. Play again. So you can hear how the extra hi-hat was thrown in. So you can do that with all of these. Not only additional hi-hats and additional instruments, because as I add a note here, you heard it was a different drum. These are all different drums. All the bass drums, snares, toms, hi-hats, cymbals. That's this particular plugin. And that's what these notes represent for this plugin. So you just have to figure out per plugin, whatever you're using, where is that particular instrument in percussion. Let's say I want to hear that tom every time. Let's see. Oops. All right, now you'll hear those extra toms as well. So you hear how it drastically changed from what it originally was to what it became. So you can basically use one as a backbone and then modify to fit your song. All right, and the next, personally, I add a guitar that is going through the audio interface and into the machine. So I'm basically plugged into my audio interface, which is playing through here, just like this microphone is. So the microphone that you're hearing and seeing, that is connected through the audio interface as well, audio interface. So I bring it back to normal, back to the beginning. So this first track, I know I've muted it. So there are some of the buttons you can learn within a track. You know, you can mute or unmute a track, which means you won't hear it. You'll hear everything else but this track. Solo means you'll only hear that track. So if you want to just exclusively listen to a single track, you can click this button. This is how you record. So if you want to record, you would click this button to initiate the recording, which basically arms the track for recording. And then you come up here to the actual record button and you hit record. And that's going to start the meter, and it's basically going to start recording whatever you're saying, playing, singing, whatever it might be. So you need the combination. The track needs to be set to record, and then the overall record needs to be pressed to begin your recording. All right. Some of these, you can learn about all of these different options. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I just want to give you the basics to be able to get started. So download, install the software, and then just start learning a little bit about it. These are all the individual tracks. Like I said, I start with the percussion, and then I add my guitar, and then I'll add multiple vocal tracks, and then I'll add bass. I just add all of the various instruments. So this is we'll just pick up here just so you can hear what they all sound like together. So it's just a pretty weak intro that we're still working on, but then it goes into the song, and you should hear all the different instruments. I'll scroll up and down so you can see them.
Somewhere in a lonely hotel room, there's a guy starting to realize that eternal fate has turned its back on him. It's 2 a.m.
It's 2 a.m. The fear is gone. I'm sitting waiting. The gun's still warm. Maybe my connection is tired of taking chances. Yeah, there's a storm on the loose.
Anyway, you know how it goes. It's a song from the 80s. It's a pretty cool song, but anyway, these are all the various tracks that combine together. Some are just emphasis guitar, some are actual picking, some are some lead riffs. So there's many different guitars being blended together with the percussion, with the vocals. And you can see here when you look at these waveforms. So this is the audio. This is how the system interprets the audio. And the broader the waveform, the louder the sound. As you can see here, this one is almost peaked. Actually, it's probably what we've called clipped. So this clip is clipping. So this track itself, it's going beyond the max sound. So if I solo that, we can hear what that would sound like. Pretty loud. You can hear the authentic sound, sure, but you can hear that it's a little bit too loud. So it's difficult to work with a track that's clipped. You can't do much with it. It's already at max volume. You can turn it down, but it's still going to be a little distorted. So you got to watch out for that. Try not to clip. All right. And once you have a song composed as good as you'd like, now personally, what I do is I go file, and then I export this song as a wave file. So now I mix and I match as best I can all these different sounds, volume up, down, effects. You can see I've added various effects on here. Reverb, this is a digital multiply, a boost to increase volume. So there's various effects that you can add to each track. And then once you have all the effects and all the levels as good as you feel that they are, Then I export the audio as a WAV file. I'll create a new Cakewalk file from scratch, and I'll import that audio into the track. So yes, you can create it from scratch. You can also import audio. So if I add a new track here, for example, and then I right click and I say import audio. Well, I just find my file wherever it may be. Now in this case, I have to dig a little deeper to find an audio file, but let me see if I can find one. Ooh. Let's see. A lot of songs here we've been working on. This is It's Not Easy from way back when. Oops, already worked on that one. Um, let's see. So let's find a song here with an export. That's okay. All right, You Belong to Me, sure. Mixed. That's what I do. I create a mixed. All right, and then I have an audio file here. Let's say I'll call it for mixing. So I'll export it with a name at the end. It's the song name and then for mixing. And then I open it. Okay, that took way longer than it should, not because of the software, because this file was stored on an external hard drive. So Cakewalk, when it has to pull in from an external hard drive, it takes a little bit, but it was just 2 minutes. So anyway, now I've imported this mixed file. So what I'm going to do, it would just be its own new Cakewalk file with just that one strip of the exported audio of what you think is looking pretty good at this point. And I just use a mastering. This one I recommend, ARTG. It's a one the Beatles used. So I just use this live stereo. And I go through and I listen to the song and then I adjust these settings. Now it's very, there's a lot, there's a lot to this mixing board, but you figure out how to modify things here and there. And what I recommend is to try some of these they have presets. So I'd recommend one of these presets. Try that. See how it changes the song. Is it better? Is it worse? And let's say you select one and you see all the knobs change to the settings. You can just tweak them again. So I always start with a preset and then modify as needed. Sometimes I'll just start from scratch and just master like crazy, but I like to start with these presets because I know what sound they're going to emulate, and then I will select the best. So I know that's probably a lot. It's very confusing. I'm jumping into the end sometimes of these tracks, but I just want to give you an overview and just conceptually, how does Cakewalk work? Well, it's all tracks, and these tracks all represent different instruments that are blended together to make an overall sound. And each of these tracks can be modified. If you come over here, there's a volume for this track. I can modify the volume up or down if I want to. I can pan it left or right, however I choose. There's just basics that you can do if you choose to do any panning, which just moves the sound to the left or the right sound if you're using stereo. And once you have a sound that you think is good from these tracks, I export that audio as a WAV file. WAV is the best audio file. And then I import that one WAV file into a new Cakewalk project, and it will just be one strip of the audio. And I will use the mastering plugin to tweak and modify the sound so it sounds like I want it to, basically. So really, that's Cakewalk in a nutshell. That's very powerful. There's way more in here. There's stuff I don't even know yet. I haven't used everything. So, but there are a whole bunch of keyboard shortcuts. There's this, like I said, this is a professional DAW. It was a professional DAW. Now it's still a professional DAW, but it's free. So that's the wonderful thing about it. Anyway, good intro to Cakewalk. I'll have a lot more Cakewalk videos to come, but I just wanted to give you a taste. So I hope you liked it. So that's an overview of Cakewalk by BandLab, the free professional DAW that I use to record every song that you'll hear on this channel. Is it perfect? No, but it's powerful, it's free, and once you learn it, you can make legitimate professional sounding recordings from the comfort of your home. In future videos, I can deep dive into specific techniques within Cakewalk, mixing vocals, recording guitars, MIDI drum programming, all inside of Cakewalk. So subscribe if you want to see more. And if you're using a different DAW, honestly, most of these concepts or tools translate. The tools themselves matter less than how to use them. So go download Cakewalk and start making some noise. The next video that I'm going to upload is going to be a song called Shooting Star by Bad Company. Again, it's an early recording, so the quality is subpar, but I hope you can see how I'm able to build and improve from one song to the next. Sometimes I regress, but typically I improve. The video after that will be a song that's available out there for streaming right now. It's a little song called Hooked on a Feeling by Blue Swede. It's a good one. All right, and with that, I will see you in the next video.
Don't you know?